This Saturday night in the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, one of the biggest fights in the history of mixed martial arts goes down as the Eagle, Khabib Nurmagomedov, takes on Ireland's own, the notorious Conor McGregor, over 5 rounds in the UFC lightweight division. This is the size up for that fight, and I'm going to try to break down that fight as best I can. And I'm going to do that in 3 ways. I think there's 3 major parts of this fight, like most fights, but I think this fight, it's more exaggerated. There's the striking, there's the grappling, and there's the transition between those. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're obviously going to talk about Khabib being an excellent grappler. We're going to talk about McGregor being an excellent striker. And we're going to talk about how McGregor keeps it striking and how Khabib makes it a grappling match. So I'm going to talk about the good parts and the bad parts of both guys first, and then I'm going to talk about that transition. So let's talk about Conor McGregor first. What is Conor McGregor? He's a great striker, first of all. He is rapid, he is precise, he hits so hard. And that's what really we've seen over McGregor over the last 5 or 6 years of his UFC tenure. We've seen him rise to the biggest star in the history of the sport, and it's because he can talk, and it's because he's braggadocious and everything like that, and he backs things up, but it's because he backs things up. It's because he's such a great fighter. If he didn't have that, he wouldn't be where he is, or he wouldn't have his status as one of the greatest showmen, one of the most famous people in the history of our sport or any combat sport. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how he does it and how he is so good. What Conor McGregor is, essentially, he is an aggressive counterpuncher. Now, he has changed up how he fights over the years. Before, he used to be he kind of went from a counterpuncher to an aggressive fighter, and now he's blended the 2 styles together to where he can stand in the pocket, he can bring you in, he can hit you on the counter, he can throw his jab to bring you in, he can throw kicks to bring you in. He does little different things to get you to come in so he can hit you. Now, he can go and attack you as well, 100%, because sometimes it's hard to bring guys out of their shell to open up for McGregor. And he can do all that as well. But his modus operandi from the very start is to do that. He goes forward at you, and he pushes you back to the fence. That's what he wants to do at the very start of this fight. And we'll get to what Khabib wants to do as well, because it's something similar enough in that range and distance. And that's a big part of this fight. But for McGregor, what he wants to do is he wants to get his front hand out. He's obviously a southpaw, so he leads with his right hand. He wants to get that hand out, land a couple of jabs, but just kind of, the jab isn't something that it's vital for what he does, but it isn't something like other guys use it to hurt people or to win a fight with it. He wins the fight with, his front hand is really a setup, and he's great at doing it. He's a good jab to set up. He's a good fakes off the front hand, especially against Eddie Alvarez. We saw him use them very well, but it's his left hand, which he uses everything to do. He'll give you a chance with the right hand. He'll throw it, he'll fake, he'll let it go down low, he'll give you a chance to think you can hit him, or you can come over the top with a left hook or with a right hook or with something like that, and then he'll step back and hit you and counter you with the left hand and hurt you. So that's basically what Conor McGregor is. Now, he does other things as well. He throws, as I mentioned, leg kicks. We saw that against Nate Diaz a lot. He throws spinning kicks. We saw it against Diego Brandao and other people as well. He throws body kicks. We saw it against Chad Mendes. He throws teeps up the front, and all of that is to keep his distance. So what Conor McGregor wants, he wants to close the distance, but for minute seconds. So he wants to close the distance, hit, and open the distance again. And he does, and he keeps that distance by throwing what I said there. The teeps up the front. Think about it. The length of his leg is going to be obviously, longer than anything you can throw at him if you're not throwing the same back at him. So he throws that. He throws the long jab out to keep you away from it. He throws those spinning kicks so that you have to move back and get away from that danger. So that's how McGregor keeps you away from him. And he brings you in by stopping doing those things, thinking you have a chance, and then when you come in, he counters you. So that's what McGregor wants to do, in the most basic terms. Now, you can obviously get a lot more complicated than that, but that's the crux of it, basically. Now, he's great at doing that because of his power, because of his speed, and everything like that. He can knock you out with those spinning kicks. He can knock you out with by throwing a jab and a 1-2 after it. He can do all of that, but that's what he wants to do. He wants to push you back. He wants to give you a chance, he wants you to come out, and he wants to knock you out with the counter. That's what Conor McGregor basically wants to do. Khabib Nurmagomedov, then, what does he want to do? He wants to push you back as well. Khabib Nurmagomedov loves to push guys back, close the distance, and take them down. Now, we talk about Khabib a lot, and we talk about his takedowns. Khabib has great takedowns in a certain area of the octagon, and he is probably the best in the world at them, and he's the best in the world as well when it gets to the ground. In the middle of the cage, we've seen against Gleison Tibau, we've seen against Alaya Quinta, he can be stopped. You can push him down, you can limp leg away and get out against Khabib. If Khabib pushes you back, pushes you against the cage and gets you there, you're gone. You're on the ground. He's just so good there. Tibau's the only one to stop him. He got the over-under. He's so strong as well, Tibau. It's kind of a one you can write off, and it was so long ago as well. But he did do it. If you're strong enough and if you get that technique against Khabib, you can stop him. You know, he is human. If you have the right technique and you have the right ability, and if you're strong enough, you can stop him. But almost no one has been able to stop him, even from dominant positions. A lot of the time, the over-under, so it's an overhook over one hand and underhook up under the other hand. That's usually a position that, you know, the guy defending can keep themselves standing by doing that. Against Khabib Nurmagomedov, not really. He catches you around, he catches you in a body lock from that position, he trips you, brings you to the ground, puts you down. Before he comes to that, he likes to chain his wrestling attempts together. So he'll run at you to get close. He'll try to clasp his hands down low. If you try to push him up, he'll try to get the body lock. He'll try to pull you down. When he gets you down low, if he gets you behind the knees, he's just pulling you out, taking you straight down. If he gets you around the hips, likely to do the same. If he gets you anywhere up higher, he'll try to either take you down from there, or he'll try to get back down to the legs to take you down again, or he'll come out, give you a bit of space, get straight back in to get back to the legs and keep taking down. So that's what they're talking about. You know, people talk about chain wrestling. That's basically what it is. He just keeps going. If you do get out a little bit, he'll go straight back and he'll push you against the cage again. He'll try for more takedowns, try for more strikes inside. Now, that's what he's great at there. When it gets to the ground, Khabib is, for me, and I mentioned it a second ago, he is the best in the world we've ever seen. Khabib is an expert from half guard. Now, half guard is where you're on top and you have one of your legs inside the two legs of your opponent with his back on the ground. So that's where he attacks from. He attacks from there because when he has one of your legs trapped, he takes away your base, he takes away your ability to move. He traps your leg there and traps you on the ground with your back on the ground, and people find it very hard to get out from him when he's in that position, because he's so heavy and so technically good there. When Khabib gets to mount, when he's right on top of you, when he gets the side control, when he's in the side of you, people find it easier against him. They're able to get a leg up underneath him. They're able to sweep and get out from there. Now, he's still devastating from those positions, but he's not as good as from there as he is from half guard, and he knows that himself because he goes back into half guard all the time. You've seen him in all fights. What fight was it? The Michael Johnson fight. He did it a couple of times. He moved from mount into half guard because he likes it so much, and he beats guys up badly from there. When he's in that position, as I said, he takes away that base, and then he's so good at keeping that part of his body static and keeping that part of his opponent's body static, and he that's like, he forgets about that part of the body, and then he works on the top half of the body, and he attacks with force, elbows, little punches inside, submissions. He works on the shoulder, moves to each side, never stops for a second. Absolutely unbelievable, phenomenal, never-ending work rate, and he just keeps going and going and going and bludgeons you. And that's basically it with Khabib. So we have that with Khabib on the ground, takedowns, unbelievable. McGregor standing up, hitting you, hurting you, unbelievable. Now let's talk about the in-between part. How do they keep it there? How do they stay there? And how it's going to work out. Now, before we get to that, and I'll give my prediction as well at the end of this of how the fight will work out. Now, I think it'll be a very close fight, and it's a very hard one to predict. But anyway, before we get to the middle part, let's talk about both guys in both positions. Khabib standing and McGregor on the ground. The opposite of what I did earlier. Both guys are not as good as the other guy in the opposite position, but both guys are not terrible. We saw Khabib, especially, I think a lot has been talked about Khabib's striking coming into this. We saw him against Alaya Quinta throwing a lot of jabs late in the fight, and he looked good, even though he didn't look great, if you want to put it that way. Alaya Quinta's a good guy. And I suppose, looking and talking about all of this, you can say he's no Conor McGregor, and obviously isn't. But still, you have to take it on its merits, what he did. I've seen it in other fights as well, Gleison Tibau. Against Michael Johnson, he didn't look great. He looked vulnerable, but it's not as bad as it is. Now, if you're taking that and he's going in there against Conor McGregor, who is arguably the best striker we've ever seen in MMA, he's going to be in trouble because he is definitely not as good as him. If you talk about Conor McGregor being top professional, you're talking Khabib Nurmagomedov being amateurish novice in that position. And you can say the same the other way around about Conor McGregor on the ground. If you're saying Khabib Olympic top level, Conor McGregor is not that. We've seen him on the ground. We've seen him doing okay on the ground, but we've seen him as well against Chad Mendes. Now he came into that fight injured, but it still happened. We've seen him taken down in that fight. His 3 losses in his career have all been by submission, although the last one, obviously, he went for the takedown himself after he got hurt and tired on the feet. But McGregor, he knows it himself, and the way he fights is to stay off of his back. I suppose the biggest, most prolonged time we've seen of McGregor on his back is against Chad Mendes, where he basically in the second round for the whole round, he stayed in close guard. He threw a few elbows, but he didn't really look like getting up at all until Mendes went for a guillotine, and he was able to get up from there. So if it gets into that position, like Khabib, if it is if it's standing up for prolonged periods, Khabib will be in trouble. If it's on the ground for prolonged periods, McGregor will definitely be in trouble. So there's that. Now, this is a fight where if it gets to the ground, McGregor will be in trouble. If it stands up, Khabib will be in trouble. So let's get to the middle part. How does it get to the ground, or how does it get standing up? And it's all about distance and range. If Conor McGregor gets pushed against the fence, like I said about anyone else, and like I said about Khabib, how good he is, he's getting taken down because Khabib is so good. Khabib will take anyone down. If Khabib can't get close to him, McGregor will beat him because he's striking is so good. So how do they stop that? And it's range. It is distance. McGregor needs to do to Khabib what I mentioned earlier, what he does to everyone else. He needs to throw those kicks straight up the middle without them kicks being caught. He needs to throw leg kicks like Edson Barbosa did him. He needs to throw his jab, and most importantly, he needs to push him back. If you let Khabib Nurmagomedov get forward momentum against you and push you back behind the little black line on the octagon, the small octagon in the middle of the octagon, you're screwed. You're getting taken down, you're getting pushed against the fence, and you're going on your back, and you're getting beaten up probably for 5 minutes for that round, or 4.5 minutes, whatever's left of that round. That's just the reality of it. So he has to stop that from happening. He has to stay out. He has to hurt Khabib every time he comes in. The Eddie Alvarez fight, a lot of people talk about it and say Eddie Alvarez didn't go for enough wrestling, didn't go for enough takedowns. And that I couldn't disagree more with that. Eddie Alvarez tried his best, but McGregor did not let him. And that's the key to this. If McGregor wins this fight, mark my words, people will say Khabib didn't wrestle enough. Because the way McGregor will beat him is by not letting Khabib wrestle. So McGregor has to keep him back. He has to make all of Khabib's attempts to wrestle absolutely vital. If you know, and when I say vital, I mean vital for Khabib's survival in the fight. He has to make Khabib desperate. He has to push Khabib back so far that Khabib is saying, what am I doing here? He has to make him a rabbit in the headlights. He has to say, I need to get out. I need to do something. I have to rush in and get McGregor down. That's what Eddie Alvarez did. And what happened to him? He got hit by someone who was a lot faster than him, a lot more technical, and hits a lot harder than him. That's how Khabib will get beaten as well if he does get beaten here. It will be Khabib rushing out for takedowns when McGregor pushes him back. So that distance is all important. What does Khabib need to do then on the other side of it? He needs to do the same. He needs to push McGregor back. He needs to get him behind the line on the octagon. He needs to push him against the fence. He needs to take him down against the fence and beat him up on the ground, as I mentioned earlier. How does Khabib do it? He has to get into danger. He has to do it. Will his jab be good enough to push McGregor back? Will his footwork be good enough to push McGregor back? Maybe, but I'd say McGregor is better in that area. I think his footwork and his jab are better than him. So Khabib is going to have to take risks. He's going to have to be willing to take a shot coming in. He's going to have to time it. And he's going to have, and when I say time it, timed risks are very important here. If Khabib decides, he's looked at the footage like I've done and like everyone has done, and says Conor McGregor is a counter fighter and he gets guys when they rush in, and if I rush in, he's going to hit me. So what am I going to do? What's his plan B after that? What is he? Stay back and try to counter McGregor? That's not going to work, because McGregor will have no problem coming forward and hitting you hard and beating you that way. Is he going to strike with him for the whole fight? Is he going to try to take him down in the middle of the octagon? Now he might change things up. We saw Chad Mendes doing it, but with it, obviously a very different fight and a very different McGregor as well. That's an interesting part to see what the plan B is here. But the plan A will be to do that. Khabib Nurmagomedov is not afraid of Conor McGregor. He beyond a certain point. Obviously, he's afraid of getting hit, because if he gets hit, he'll get knocked out like everyone is. He's not stupid, but he's not afraid to come in and do his work against Conor McGregor. He will be confident. He will come in here. He'll try to get under Conor McGregor. He'll try to lock up. He'll try to wait for, he'll try to wait Conor McGregor out. He'll try to bring him in until McGregor throws those big shots. He'll try to draw McGregor in, so he can counter him, so he can push him up against the fence, so he can get back, so he can catch McGregor in an area where McGregor has already thrown and he's coming back at him. So he can catch him with those with those counters, and he'll try to push him against the fence and take him down. So it's that ability to close space at the right time. It's distance, it's range, it's timing. And it's not just timing as in, McGregor talks about precision and timing of his shots. It's precision and timing of when to throw the shots. And shots, I mean boxing shots, and I mean wrestling shots. When is the right time for Khabib to come in, get under, and try to take him down in the middle of the cage, which is going to be difficult because McGregor is good takedown defense. We know that. It's something we've talked about an awful lot. When is the right time for him to try to push McGregor back and throw a few shots and put him against the cage? When is the right time to barge him? When is the right time, to catch McGregor off guard? And then when is the right time for McGregor to counter Khabib? When is the right time for him to throw kicks when Khabib won't catch the kicks and put him down? When is the right time, for McGregor to throw 3 or 4 punches? I think it's a good time for McGregor to throw one punch if Khabib comes out and is a bit open and he can throw one punch and get away. When will McGregor go in and go three or 4 punches? That's an interesting thing as well, because if he comes in and does that, it's more time in the pocket. It gives more time for Khabib to body lock, to push you against the fence, to try to take you down. So that's all important. So there we go. That's an important thing. You're looking for, at the very start of this fight, what are you going to look for? You're going to look for McGregor going forward. You're going to look for Khabib going forward. And I really think we'll know within the first 3 or 4 minutes of this fight who will win by who gets the front foot and who gets forward. If one of those guys looks reluctant and he gets pushed back, he's in big, big trouble. He really is. So that's the breakdown of that. What they're good at, where it's going to be won, and how they get from where they're good at to where they're bad at, or where the other guy is good at and where the other guy is bad at. So how do I think this fight will go? As I talked about there for the last few minutes, it's that front foot. Watching tape over the last week, I've watched all their fights back, and I had been picking Khabib up until this week, until I watched all their fights back, and I've changed my mind. I'm picking Conor McGregor. There's my official prediction, but I'm picking him because I'm doing this video and I have to pick someone. And I've said I've been on radio shows and stuff, and I've said I've picked Khabib, and I'm changing my mind. I'm picking McGregor. This is my official prediction. I just think that range is the most important thing in this fight. When I'm breaking this fight down, fighter A and his skills against fighter B and his skills, I think Conor McGregor's skills at range, at pushing guys back, are excellent. He has built his whole career and his whole arsenal of striking that has got him to be $100 million fighter around his control of range. He is excellent at it. People seem to underestimate Conor McGregor because of his celebrity status, because of things that have happened to him in the past, because he's from Ireland and people think no one in Ireland can wrestle. And if you want to do that, fair enough, but do not underestimate this man. This guy is unbelievably good. He is a generational type fighter. He's one of the best fighters we've ever seen in the history of mixed martial arts. Make no doubt about it. But he can still get beaten by Khabib Nurmagomedov. He can still get beaten by him, because this is mixed martial arts. And the best all-round fighter does not always win. He really doesn't. If you can get this fighter that's superior to you in 9 out of 10 areas into that one area that you're superior, you will beat him. And Khabib Nurmagomedov has a huge chance of doing that, because that area he's good in, there's no one in the world better than him at it. And if he can pull McGregor down, get him to the fence, get him to the ground, he will beat him. And if he does, my prediction will be wrong. But my prediction is McGregor, because I think he can keep it standing. I think he can limp leg enough in the middle of the cage to get away from Khabib for long enough periods to make him pay. We saw against Chad Mendes, he got taken down for 2.5 rounds, he got up and he knocked him out. We've seen Khabib in past fights take guys down, Alai Quinta, Edson Barboza, give him chances later on in the fight. Is something like that, could that happen against McGregor? I think it's not a possibility. Because, you know, people talk about McGregor and his cardio and everything like that. I think that's overestimated a little bit. I think you can kind of find excuses for every time McGregor struggled that way. Against Nate Diaz, that wasn't there. You know, he got his, okay, he struggled for a little bit in the middle part of the fight, but he got his, you know, he got his second win. That fourth round was probably not the best round of McGregor's career, but the biggest round of McGregor's career for me. That, you know, and he kept going strong, and it was an even enough fifth round. So there, you know, that really is it. You know, the crux of this is if McGregor, you know, can come out in the first 5 minutes of this fight, push Khabib back. I think it will be an easy night for him if he can do that. If he can't do that and he gets taken down, I think he needs to survive. And survival is huge for McGregor, because if he can survive, the next round starts on the feet and he can try all over again. And if he can survive that round, try again. If he can get back up, try again. I think there's opportunities and opportunities. I think it's going to be harder for Khabib to get McGregor straight out of there, because I think McGregor will be ultra defensive on the ground. I think he'll go into close guard like he did against Chad Mendes. I think he'll try to hurt him with those elbows. And another big thing as well from the clinch, you know, on the feet, I talk about McGregor. If he can keep it on the feet, push him back, use the range, draw Khabib out, because Khabib will have to panic. He'll have to come out and try to take McGregor down if it's on the feet for that long, and he'll catch him there and knock him out if it gets to there. If it gets to the ground and he keeps pulling him down all the time, McGregor will try to get back up, he'll try to land those elbows, but if it goes to the ground for 5 rounds, Khabib will win. Or if it goes to the ground for 3 rounds, probably Khabib will win, because he'll just keep beating him and end up finishing him. But that transition as well is an important part of this fight from where the fight could finish point of view. Because Conor McGregor has finished a guy before in that position with those elbows. If he can get, you know, if Khabib, I talked about chain wrestling, and it's what Khabib is great at. But Conor McGregor can attack Khabib Nurmagomedov there, unlike Khabib Nurmagomedov can attack Conor McGregor from where he's great at. Now he can attack him there with takedowns and everything like that, but that's part of the normal ongoing of the fight. McGregor can attack him there with those elbows like that against the cage. Travis Bowen elbows, people call him. Conor McGregor knocked, his name escapes me now, but in Cage Warriors back in the day, Kiefer Crosby, his teammate, did it a couple of weeks ago. SBG are known for it. You see lots of those guys doing it. You've seen McGregor doing it other times. He can hit Khabib with those elbows in the clinch, make him pay, and maybe make Khabib come out a little bit and not keep training those takedowns, or maybe he can knock him out there. I would not be surprised if that happened. I just think there's a few paths to victory there for McGregor that maybe we're discounting, or maybe that we're underestimating. And that's kind of why I'm picking him more than anything else, because I think Khabib can win this fight. I really think it's a 51-49 type of a fight, but I just fancy McGregor to come out here to catch Khabib. I don't think it'll be early. I don't think it'll be early. I could see it in the first round, but I don't think it'll be a Jose Aldo type of situation. I don't think he'll come out and catch him first. I think it'll be a bit of a fight. I don't fancy it being a back and forth, to be honest. I think it will be a good fight, but I don't think it'll be a back and forth. I think McGregor will beat him on the feet, but I could easily see Khabib taking him down and beating him there. I just can't see it being a back and forth. But it's that level of anticipation, and I'll end it on this. It's that level of anticipation that makes this fight great. Some fights we go into, like a Cormier Jones, we think this could be an epic back and forth. Or back in the day, Robbie Lawler against Johnny Hendricks. Or loads of fights. We talk, who's going to win this, you know, back and forth. Who's going to win the jab? Who's going to win the wrestling? This is not like that. This is not an epic back and forth fight that we're looking forward to. This is a fight for who is the man. And that's important. Who is the man? Who is going to express their will on the other man? Who is going to win the battle? And it's not a battle just in fighting battle. It's a battle for area. It's a battle for supremacy. It is a battle for my technique. And is my technique of striking better, or is my technique of wrestling better? And that's the key. Who will win that? Will wrestling win? Will striking win? Will Conor McGregor win? Will Khabib Nurmagomedov win? We'll find out on Saturday night. Thanks everyone for listening. Please sign up on Patreon if you enjoy this. I have loads of interviews this week with loads of different guys. Patreon.com/SevereMMA podcast. Thanks very much for listening. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you over on Facebook, Sean Sheehan MMA. Over on Twitter, Sean Sheehan BAA. Sean Sheehan BAA even. Please follow Severe MMA everywhere. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all next time.